If you're living like most people and like how I was, you are trying to prove yourself to someone. You are spending a lot of energy working for a version of you that feels out of reach. I've had firsthand experience of being locked out of rooms I never even got the opportunity to be in. The harder I pushed, the more drained I got. And then I stopped. I stopped trying to manage the outcome. I started treating my life like a science project. Just curious and experimenting. And in that space, I found something I didn't know I was looking for, but I needed, and that was choice. I open my calendar now. I don't feel dread. I don't feel weight. I just feel pure excitement and curiosity to see how the science project will play out that day. In this video, I'm sharing the 5 things I actually did. Some of them while I was still working as a teacher in a classroom before I ever became a business owner. Stay through all 5 because the last one has to do with animals, and it's the reason why most people feel stuck and drained. It has to do with squirrels and why they do what they do and why sea turtles don't. But first, we start with your friendships. The first thing is to have less friends and have more homies. Friendships require a lot of time, reciprocity, empathy, and showing up. Once you've made those investments, when it comes time to make that withdrawal, it is impactful. However, I feel like we don't have homies anymore. And homies is still a part of community. And homies are everywhere. You can have a homie at a coffee shop, a homie at the gym. You can have a homie on the block. And you still keep up with that person. It doesn't require as much. And it is still a practice of community, empathy, and being human to other people. Being a good community member. But it doesn't require you to make as many deposits because there's not as many transactions because they're homies. I take the friend word very seriously. When you start to analyze the people in your life, whether they are actually homies or friends, it'll reduce the need to constantly pour into other people, and it'll give you back the opportunity to pour back into yourself and to think about the way that you want to move throughout your life without having to be responsive and being so many things to so many other people. When it helps you realize your place and other people's place, and then it establishes a consistent exchange, which will allow you more space to deposit into yourself. So, homies, less friends. The next thing is keeping your word to yourself. It really sucks when you lie to yourself. If you told yourself you're not going to work on Sundays and somebody's trying to book some time with you, keep your word to yourself because you said you weren't going to work Sunday. If you said you were going to wake up, do that. When you don't keep your word to yourself, you are creating a identity. You are practicing a story that when you say things, you don't mean it. It's even worse when you put that in yourself because then you stop trusting yourself and you stop believing in yourself. Practice keeping your word to yourself in the smallest ways. If you have an issue with that, practice thinking of yourself as a childlike version of yourself. And you are letting the little child in you down when you said that, hey, we were going to chill today. What happened? You looking up at you real sad like, I thought you said we was going to play today. If it helps, you can keep a baby picture around to remind yourself you are still carrying all the versions of yourself, and nurturing the child in you is very important. When you keep your word to yourself, it is building evidence that you can rely on yourself, and not self-reliance, but more like trusting yourself. When you make a promise to yourself, keep it. And that'll help you feel like you have more power in your life, because if all else fails, I know that I'm doing this. I said I was going to do this. And it feels really good to upkeep that. The next thing is to pay for things that buy your time back. I used to be a Sephora snob, and I used to get all my skincare and stuff from Sephora. I had to stop doing that once I became a business owner. You create a routine where you have to keep paying for this skin routine. Now I'm a drugstore baddie. It helped me create a more sustainable routine. Something else that helped was paying to get my house cleaned. It feels great to have a clean house, but it takes a lot of time. My weekends are sacred. So if I am working Monday through Friday, Saturday is my day, and I don't want to spend my day cleaning the house all day. I used to live in New York. I used to live in a 5th floor walk-up, meaning there was no elevator. I had to carry my laundry down 5 flights of stairs I had to put it in the laundromat. I had to bring all my little laundry stuff, and I also had to sit there and wait for my clothes to make sure they didn't get stolen. That took up a lot of time. Then I figured out I could pay $35 to have somebody come pick up my stuff, wash it, and bring it up the stairs to me. And I felt like I solved a Rubik's Cube. And it saved me so much more time. In that time, if you make a promise to yourself that on the weekends you're going to do your passion project, whatever that is, not only are you keeping your word to yourself, but if that's your time to do your passion project, you don't have to do these other things. A lot of that comes with exchanges. Instead of having an expensive makeup routine or skincare routine, I use that money to buy my time back so I can invest my time in doing things that I love to develop myself, my business, my relationships. So don't pay for a lifestyle where you feel like you have to work for. Next thing is following nature's cues instead of man's cues. In January, people like to lock in. Instead, I decided to rest in January. I didn't push for anything. I didn't create anything. I didn't post anything. I wasn't trying to sell anything. I rarely took business calls. I needed that space to rest. And I didn't start back up in my business until March. And that is how nature works. Nature lives on a 50-50 split. 50% of the time is spent in rest and 50% of the time is spent in productivity, growing. You can't grow if you don't rest. If there's not a space where you are like, okay, this is my dormant space, I'm just going to do the minimum. When I did that, it gave me time to think and digest and really think about what I wanted to do. I was about to dive into a whole different business venture that I didn't even like, but I was doing it because I thought that it would get me more money. I got that time to reflect. But had I not had that time to reflect and react, I would have been doing something that I didn't enjoy doing, and then I would have been burnt out again. Just because it's January doesn't mean you have to turn into a new person. Make sure that you have periods of your life, of your year, where you are resting and reflecting, and that helps you learn more about yourself, what you will and what you won't do. So yeah, y'all, be dormant. Allow yourself to be dormant. The last thing is to embrace the boring so you don't have to make as many decisions. Decision fatigue is a very real thing. The average person has to make 35,000 decisions a day. And what you can do to feel like you have your power back is to eliminate some of those decisions. And you can do that by being boring. Whether that is for you. For me, having the same morning breakfast helps. I signed up for a gym where I just show up, they tell me what to do. I know some people that only have a certain color palette, and that's what they wear, and they don't have to think about it. I try not to overthink the things that are smaller to me so I can have more space to make bigger decisions and solve bigger problems or create more and have the capacity to create. Because if my brain is drained from making so many decisions every day, then there's nothing left for me to create with because I spent it all on these little minute decisions. So try to automate your life as much as possible in whatever way works best for you. I know a girl that eats turkey and cabbage. She's been eating that for the past 2 weeks and she's fine with that. It helps eliminate what am I going to eat today. Save your orders. And if you order out or whatever, so you don't have to think, you just know. It saves time and energy to dedicate to the things that you love or the people that you love. What does this have to do with turtles and squirrels? The squirrels on my block are always running. They're always late. They are always scared. The squirrels have a scarcity mindset. They live a very anxious life. And I feel like sometimes we can be like squirrels. We're running around, reacting, trying to make sure we have enough. Versus the sea turtle lives very slow. If you know how sea turtles mother their kids, you'll know they release. They are in the ocean on their own watch. They have this intuition, so they know where to go and where to come back to. And they live for a very long time. During that time of rest, I realized the slower I go, the longer I spend to reflect, the longer I spend to digest. Once I know more about myself, I can have the autonomy to be grounded in what I will say yes to and what I will say no to, because I spent time to reflect and what's motivating it and how is it benefiting me. And I feel like that was a turtle decision and not a squirrel decision. If this interests you and you still need support in making decisions, I have a video talking about this decision fatigue and how to get rid of it. I recommend you watch that and take from the things that I've learned so you don't have to make as many decisions in your life. And you can be more of a turtle and less like a squirrel.